and let's get started. So welcome everyone, welcome to King's Cross. It is 9:34 p.m. UK time, and we are live from London. It is the 16th of November, so if you're watching this on replay, if it's no longer the 16th of November, you're probably watching the replay. And for the ones that don't know me, I'm Natalie, and tonight we're heading to Euston Road. So for the ones that don't know those Monopoly tours, we've rolled the dice on the board. We ended up on Euston Road. So I'll give you a little tour of the area. And there's a helicopter behind me for some reason. And we'll take a look at property prices. And tonight we've got a little murder mystery for you. Right, without further ado, let's go. Got some beautiful lighting here. It's not a Christmas light, it's always here. And that one there is a Christmas tree. I wanted to start here because across the street here, let's cross over, this is the German gymnasium. That's from the 1860s, and it is the first purpose-built gymnasium in London. It was built for the German community here because we had in Victorian times quite a few Germans in London, and a lot of them lived around here and Bloomsbury and Charlotte Street. And we'll talk about one of them in a moment. He's going to be one of our protagonists tonight. So he probably would have frequented the gymnasium himself. Happy birthday, Sarah. It's nice to have you celebrating this with us tonight. And so yeah, we'll talk about that German gentleman in a little while. But for now, let's go and take a quick look into St. Pancras station, because some of you have requested me to show you the Christmas tree inside. You might have seen it online. They have a very original Christmas tree this year. And just so you know, inside the station, I'm gonna be semi-silent because they don't really like you to filming into train stations in general. And I've noticed the best way to get kicked out is to actually be doing some live commentary. So I'm gonna be semi-silent, and I'll show you the tree. Then we'll talk again. Did you guys see the tree on social media or anywhere, or is it a surprise for you? I know Pisas did, because Pisas wanted to see it. So St. Pancras, it is the station with the Eurostar, of course. So that's where you take the trains to Paris. Surprise for you, Natasha. Oh, surprise for you as well, Tariq. Well, you'll see it's original. It is sponsored by Hatchard's, the library. One of the oldest libraries, really. They've got a royal warrant, so that's where the queens used to buy her books. So does Charles, I suppose. I'm not going to tell you too much about St. Pancras' station anyway, because we've covered it when we ended up in King's Cross on the Monopoly board. But I want to show you the tree. You'll see, it's kind of cool. I hope whatever they're playing is not copyrighted. Otherwise, oopsie. Right, there we go. This is the new tree this year. So it is a bookshelf, basically. So that's quite original. So you can sit inside the Christmas tree, and it is, of course, Hatchard. So you can see the little logo. So that's the bookshop. And they have, let me see if I can find an empty one to show you. No. So you've got those little speakers where they can read you a story. So it's there's an audiobook inside, sponsored by Penguin Publishing. So that's quite cool. As you I had to zip it for a moment. As you wait for your Eurostar, you can well, get a little seat and listen to some amazing stories. They have the Christmas Carol and no, oops. So I'll show you. You can press the button here and then listen to your Audible. So that's quite cool, very original as a Christmas tree, and probably quite a good advertising for Hatchards, because of course everyone comes here to do a selfie. The bookshop, it's well, it's here. They have a shop here, but of course the main one is on Piccadilly. They have a Royal Warrant, so that's an interesting shop. Anyway, let's go. And St. Pancras, of course, has a strong connection with literature, because it was saved. The building itself was saved by a poet. Benjamin Beckman has got a statue up there. So welcome herbivore, welcome everyone that just joined us. I'm so glad you found the link. I had to start a new stream because there was a little technical issue, so I'm glad to see you all here. So today we've got the Euston Road. So we won't.
Please be aware that taxis operate in this area.
We won't spend much time on Euston Road itself, because it's a very busy road with traffic. So we'll take the back streets. Right, we are out, so now I can express myself properly. So tonight we'll take the back street, because of course I've got quite a few properties for you. And let me cross over. That's the back of the British Library there. And if you went straight down, you'll end up at Camden Town Hall. Camden Town Hall as the town hall of the borough of Camden, not Camden Town. If you look at the Google reviews of the Camden Town Hall, they are very funny, because a lot of people actually leave a review for Camden Town, which is a completely different thing. But yeah, and so we are in the borough of Camden. You know, we've got 32 boroughs in London. Here it's the borough of Camden, but we are not in Camden Town, which is a little bit more north. Some of you have been around here with me before. Straight up the road there, if I walked up like 5 minutes, I'll be at St. Pancras graveyard, you know, where we have the hardy tree. I might take you there soon again. I need to schedule that tour again. And so that's St. Pancras Old Church down there. Today we'll see St. Pancras New Church, because we're gonna go down south. Hi Sue Ellen, and welcome everyone that just joined. So I already have a flat for you in this beautiful tower here. So I'll have to show you the photos, because it's quite a beautiful one. So let me find the photos. It is a one bedroom, if I remember right. I'll just double check before you start guessing. Yeah, so it's a one bedroom, and it is a freehold. That signifies that when you buy it, it's yours. It's really yours forever. And so how much would you pay for this one bedroom in this lovely tower? Extremely well located, because you are right at King's Cross and St. Pancras. Tariq, you guys are getting good at this. Yeah, great view. You know what? The living room, I'm not sure it's actually the right living room, because I've noticed, to give you an idea, there was another flat. That one is already sold. That was 10 days ago when I looked at the prices. And 250 says Janie, 749 says Mike. Yeah, but so the living room, I spotted another flat today in the same tower, rental, 2-bedroom, 4,000 a month, and they used the same photo of the living room. And I was looking at the two photos. I was like, I'm not hallucinating. This is the same, and it's not the same flat. So my pops, I think you're quite spot on. Let's double check. Ronelyn, you guys are getting good. I'll show you. I think my pops. My pops 20,000 more. Nearly there. So yeah, this is on the photo here. It's the communal area. It's what you see in the on the ground floor here. So yeah, quite expensive, but amazing view and amazing location. And it is a good location for two reasons. Because, well, you right next to St. Pancras, but also you are right outside of what we call the congestion zone. So you might have heard, to drive in central London you have to pay. It's like, well, it was £15 a day, but now they've added another one, so it's more now. And you're right, so the Euston Road, it's the limit of the congestion charge. That's why there's a lot of traffic on that road, because you don't have to pay to drive there. So if you live here, you don't have to pay to have your car and stuff, as long as you don't go down the street to go down to central London. You can probably afford to rent a bench on a bridge. Well, Natasha, you know what? We'll talk about that tonight, because tonight I want to talk about flat sharing. Because London has become ridiculously expensive, but in a way it always was. And if you have an average salary, let's say, and you are single, you pretty much have to live with strangers. And it does come with risks. You know, when we talk about flat sharing, I'm aware that for many people living in small town, you know, when you think of a flat share and a roommate, you probably think about Friends, you know, the sitcom. Well, yeah, that's idyllic. But from myself, I've been flat sharing for 16 years, and I can tell you it's not always that fun. But this is nothing new. In Victorian times, we had a lot of people sharing flats, and sometimes living with total strangers. And of course, sometimes those people can be psychopaths, kleptomaniac, murderers. I actually lived with a kleptomaniac myself. That was a nightmare, because we didn't have a door key or anything. And she'd go into my room. Like, I would come home sometimes and see the light in my room, and by the time I opened the front door, of course, she would run off. But what I used to do, and that worked, I got the tip from the internet, I used to buy some crisps, any flavor that was a bit original, you know, like sweet chili on risotto or whatever. And you open the packet of crisps, you put it open right behind the door. So if anyone opens the door, they're gonna smash the crisps. So even if they try to replace the packet, you're going to have some micro, unless they come with the Hoover and everything. And that's how I knew when she was coming into my room, because there would be some crisps all over the floor. Anyway, I've got two more properties for you right here. I believe they are former council flats, so they'll be a little bit cheaper than what we've just seen. Yeah, it can be scary. I've lived with a few nutcases myself. Anyway, this one, let me check so I don't say anything. So that's a 1-bedroom into that building here. 1-bedroom, a leasehold. So you buy it, but you've got a lease. You know, it might be 90 years or whatever. And let me show you the photos. So how much would you pay for a 1-bedroom here? It looks quite nice on the photos, but it's probably not very big, because I think it's a former council flat. Some of you might know in the 80s under Maggie Thatcher's, the Thatcher's government, they created what they call the right to buy. So some people have been able to buy their council flats. So now, 650 says Amanda, 560 says Mike. It's actually a little less. So yeah, nowadays you've got a mix between council and private in most of those blocks. 7K says Tariq. Well, you know what, guys? It's a bit less. But we don't know how long there is left on the leasehold, so it could be a short one. Michelle, oh, Janie, I think you are the closest so far. Let me show you the answer. Tana, oh, you're actually spot on. And it was sold as well. I purposely choose some flats that were on the market 10 days ago, so no one can cheat. Even if you wanted to go on the website, you wouldn't find them anymore. So yeah, it was actually a decent price. Oh, you're not far, Joy. Yeah. And I've got another one across the street here. I also believe it's a former council flat. It's not necessarily in this part of the building. It's a massive block. And I actually like the inside. So this one is, they call it a maisonette, so it should be on the ground floor then. Because usually a maisonette, it's when you have someone else above you. Although you don't really call it a maisonette when it's in the council block, but hey-ho. So this one is a three bedroom. And I'll show you the inside. It's actually quite cool. I like the deco. Let me show you. So we're looking for a 3-bedroom. I love the London deco. They've got the London buses and see the painting on the London skyline. That's quite cool. So how much would you pay for this one? 3 bedrooms. Amanda says 850K. Oh, Jenny, you're quite close again. Laurie, I think we'll double check, but I think you're very, very close, or maybe even spot on. Let's just wait for a few guesses. Tariq, Michelle, you guys are very good at this game now. So, yeah, very good. Let me show you the answer. 700,000. So, you know, much big, 3-bedroom compared to the one that was 1 bedroom earlier, but not the same standard as the one with the amazing view. Anyway, let's go back to flat sharing. You have nowadays in London, you've got different type of flat shares. You have the type when it's basically one landlord, you know, one person that have saved enough money to buy their own flat, and they actually take a lodger in one of the bedroom or 2 of the bedrooms to help them pay the mortgage. And that's going to be the case in the one I'm showing you next. And I've never lived in that type of flat shares myself because you know, when you live in somebody's place, you're never going to be equal, you know, like if there's any arguments or whatever, it's, you know. So personally, I've always lived in flat shares where we all on the same, you know, on the same level. You have sometimes flat shares where they are run by an agency or straight by the landlord, and all the rooms are rented individually. In that case, you have absolutely no control over who's living with you. Because that's the landlord or the agency that picks, you know. So if they pick a psychopath, you know, that's what they do. Or you have a different type of contract, which is what I did for many years. Is basically you take the full contract for a house under your name, or maybe 2 of you, and then you kind of sublet the other rooms. And it's a bit more responsibility because if you don't find anyone for the rooms, then you kind of have to cover their rent. But at least you've got the power. You can choose your flatmates. So that's what I did for many years. But you know, when you choose a flatmate, you meet them for like 10, 15 minutes. You see if you click, and then you can, sometimes I can be a terrible judge of character, you know. I did make a few mistakes. There's a few people I picked and I was like, whoa. Including the kleptomaniac. So yeah, you never really know who you're gonna live with, you know, and that's one of the risks of living in a flat share. And as we'll see tonight with our murder mystery, it is nothing new. So that was already the case in Victorian times. But before we move into that story, let me show you in there. Let me see if it's opened. Yes. So I think it's in that block is like a 8. So the shape of an 8. So I don't know if it's actually in this part of the 8 or the other part, but I'll show you this one anyway. And so we're looking for a flat share. So we're looking for 1 bedroom to rent. And this one is with, you are a lodger with the landlady. So a middle-aged lady that would have bought her own flat and that is looking for 1 person to come and take a room. So we're looking for a monthly rent. How much would you pay for this bedroom for a monthly rent? So sharing with only 1 lady, and you have a cat. She doesn't allow more pets though, so you cannot come with your own cat. Tariq, a bit more. Oh, a bit more, Amanda. Oh, not 4K, Mike. Ooh, you guys are getting very close. Jenny 10K, no, we're not that bad yet. We're quite close to the UCL, the London College University. So there's a lot of students. Yeah, my pops, Katie, you're all very, very close. I'll show you the answer. 1,150. And that will be gone in very, very quickly. I wasn't able to find a lot of flat shares here tonight because of the university. It's the middle of the school year, of course. If you looked in the summer, you'd have many more options. So yeah, this is a normal price. It's perfectly average for a small bedroom in central London. It's perfectly average, sadly. But it's really, if you're on a, it's if you have a basic salary, it's very difficult. Anyway, I was telling you all that about flat shares because it's not new. In Victorian times, a lot of those houses in London that you see, they would have been built in Georgian times as a family home. And then with the Industrial Revolution, a lot of people moved into the capital. And those houses were either subdivided into little flats, or very often the landlady or the landlord would rent the rooms. So those homes were known as boarding house or lodging house. You had different types. Sometimes the meals were included because very often those middle class people, they had a maid, they had servants. So as a lodger, the servant was not your servant, but they would serve you. They would sometimes cook for you or clean your bedroom. So that was it's a bit weird for us today to imagine, and some of those lodging houses were short term. People came and go very easily because there were so many people to give you an idea. So we're going to be talking about 1879 now, but between 1800 and 1879, the population of London had already quadrupled. It was very busy. So those people coming from the countryside with a dream of making it in London, they often ended up in some of those lodging houses. Some of them were a success, and some of them were actually very normal and successful people. Vincent van Gogh, when he lived in Brixton, he lived in one of those accommodations. Sometimes it went very well. Sometimes they enjoyed the living room and the communal areas together. They cooked meal together. They drank together. And sometimes it was much colder, going straight to their rooms, pretty much like today. And one such lodging house was in number 4 Euston Square. That's where we're heading to now. It belonged to Mr. Severin Bastendorf. He was originally from Luxembourg. So German speaker. He had married Mary, a Londoner, and together they bought a property here, and they decided to take some lodgers. They had quite a few rooms. Severin was working he was making furniture. Around here on Good Street, there were a lot of furniture makers. He had studied in Paris, and he had studied what they called chinoiserie. Chinoiserie was like the art of bamboo and all those Chinese furnitures. He was doing fairly well for himself, and Mary was the mistress of the house. And Severin was not the type to wake up early. Although he was an entrepreneur, he had a workshop at the back of the building, and so this is the Euston Road, by the way. And as you see, busy one. Just there is the British Library again on the left. And one morning, Severin is still in bed. There's a young boy, William, that goes and clear up the coal cellar. We might have spoken about those coal cellars before. I'll show you what they look like in a moment. So at the time, Victorian used coal to warm up their homes, but not only in the winter. They would use coal in the summer as well to cook or to warm up the water. And the deliveries would come, and they'll be delivered through some kind of a little hole in the pavement. So basically, right in front of their homes, they often had a little cellar under the pavement, under the sidewalk on the street. And often those cellars were quite large. Apparently, sometimes they even rented the cellars for people that couldn't afford to have an actual room. And often the different lodgers would all use the cellars to store their coal. That morning, the young boy, William, was told to go and clear up a bit of the cellar because there was a new tenant coming to take a room. He had requested to have some space in the coal cellar. So that young boy goes with his broom or whatever he needed, and he comes across what looks to him like a human foot, a bone, or a few bones. So he, of course, runs into the workshop to tell, well, not Severin because he was still in bed, but to tell Joseph, Severin's brother, and the other staff, to tell them that there was a foot in the cellar. And of course, the other ones were like, no, whatever, there's no foot in there. And the young boy was like, come and see. So one of them came to see what happened, and he came across what appeared to be a human foot, badly decomposed, but the bones were quite clearly not any other animal. And by the time that he was there, the coal delivery man, he had arrived, and he was getting impatient. He was like, I wanna deliver my coal. And they were like, hold on. So the coal delivery man actually ran down. So see, it's this type of thing. Under the pavement there, usually you have a little cellar. So the young delivery man actually ran to fetch a police officer. And little pause in the story, because we have a few studio flats here. So would you believe, on this little crescent, there were, when I did the research about 10 days ago, 7 studios to rent. Pretty much all of them the same price, so I've only selected 2. And out of the 7, only 1 of them is still available today. So they've, despite the price, they've gone quite quickly. And I think the first one is this one here. So they're all pretty much the same anyway. But how much would you pay? We're looking for a monthly rent for a studio. So you cook in the same room as you sleep. I'll show you the inside. So how much would you pay for this little studio? See, the kitchen is right in front of your bed. We're looking for a monthly rent. Oh, Janie, that's optimistic. Oh no, that's to rent, guys, not to buy, to rent. Monthly rent. Ooh, a bit more than that, Joy. A little bit more, Amanda, as well. 500, Linda. Ooh, that's cheap. You don't get a room at this price. You used to. Like 10 years ago, you could get a room for 500. It's not anymore. 1,100, says Tariq. SL, yeah, you're quite close as well. 1,500, says Herbivore. Well, I can tell you, you're all a little bit too low. It's actually ta-da, and it is rented. And I tell you, there were 7. There's only 1 left, and they're all pretty much the same price. I think the full crescent probably belongs to the same person, or they're using the same agency. I don't know, but yeah, 2015. There's only 1 more. It's been rented as well, but there's one at the end of the crescent there that's a little bit bigger. It's still a studio. Oh yes, I know it's too much, Tariq. I know, but you're so close to the UCL here. There's a lot of students that yeah. And there's 1 more it's straight ahead there. It's a studio as well, but it's a little bit bigger, as you can see. How much would you pay for one that is slightly bigger? So you see, it's a bit larger than the one we've just had. How much would you pay for this one? SL, a bit more. I know, it's getting ridiculous. Janie, you're quite close. It is, yeah, Michelle, you're quite close as well. I'll show you. 2,800 for a studio. It's, yeah, Natasha, you're very close. I mean, it's, you know, and the thing is, not only it's too much, but they've been rented. 10 days ago, there were 7. There's only 1 left now. So, you know, it's you can put whatever price you want in this city. People would rent it. So, yeah. Anyway, they are, let's get back to our foot. So the bigger one, it's in this building here. Our foot was then, so everyone came, you know, everyone from the building came, and they went to wake up Severin. So 2 police officers actually came, because they went to fetch, you know, at the time you couldn't really call, you'd run on the street until you found a police officer. So 2 came, and everyone was very much, puzzled, because is there a housing storage? What do you mean, Linda? Do you mean a storage to share with the tenant? Oh, shortage. Sorry, I read it wrong. There's, shortage, no, but yes. I mean, the prices do keep going up and up and up. There'll always be a bit of a shortage in the city centre, but if you go further out, no, there are some accommodations. But the thing is, you can rent anything in London. I've seen some bedrooms. I kid you not, they were just a few square meters. You know, like maybe 3, 4. It's it's just crazy. They've just declared a housing crisis in Edinburgh. Well, it is definitely a crisis at the moment, but yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to our food. So everyone was puzzled. Who could have been? Obviously, the corpse was very badly decomposed. The doctor that was called could not even tell how many years it had been there. He said between 1 and 3 years. And the Bastendorf, they had moved into the property about 2.5 years earlier. So they even suspected the former landlord. He was an artist, he was a sculptor, so he used to have a lot of model ladies coming to see him. So they kind of suspected it could have been him and it could have been one of his models. But they actually estimated that the lady, they were pretty sure it was a lady because of there were a lot of laces on her clothing. Although the fabric was very much deteriorated, they could see the laces. And she was at least in her 50s, so it didn't really fit the profile. Tina, I had an issue with Streamlabs, so I had to create a new stream. I'm glad you found this. This beautiful street here, it is Woodburn Walk, and it was the first pedestrian shopping street in London. 1822, so you can imagine Charles Dickens coming to do his shopping here. And so yeah, they suspected the landlord before. They suspected everybody, but not only did they not know who did it, but they didn't know who she was. They even thought she could have been some kind of a homeless that managed to get in there. But it's actually very difficult if you cannot go through the railings. And they didn't really know where to start, so the body was taken to St. Pancras mortuary. We've been there before into St. Pancras mortuary. You know, when we talked about Anthony Hardy, when we did the St. Pancras graveyard tour, we've seen the little mortuary there. I like this street art. Do not urinate here. And and everyone actually, would you believe there was a lot of morbid tourism. There was a queue of people coming to see the body because the police wanted the body to be identified. So they did say that people could come in, to see if it was not their missing loved ones. And they didn't know how to check if people were genuinely looking for anyone. So there was a queue of onlookers. And the police did have a couple from Devon inquiring because they had not heard about their daughter from about, it had been about 6 months. Her name was Anna Dobbs, and she had, they believed, they were under the impression that she might have been in Germany because the last time she had come to visit them in Devon, she was with a German guy, and she introduced him as a husband, and she had said to them that they'll go and visit Germany soon. So they didn't get worried straight away, but when they heard about the body found in the cellar at 4 Euston Square, when they knew their daughter used to work as a servant at 4 Euston Square, and then they realized they had not heard of her for a while, so they contacted the police. The police did some inquiries, and they did find that Anna was very much still alive because she was in prison in London. So they were reinsured, but then they looked into Anna a bit more because she was in prison for petty theft. She used to steal from her employers quite a few times. So they had Anna as a potential suspect now. Little pause in the story again. Across the street here, I've got another studio flat. I've got no photos, unfortunately, but how much would you pay for a studio flat in this one? So again, a studio. So again, you're cooking in the same place as you sleeping. This one is a little bit more affordable than the one we've seen. Any guesses? So we're looking for a monthly rent again, monthly rent. Linda, you're very close. No, Janie, more than that. Thank you. Thank you. A busy road, yes. So you've got, oh, Mike, you know what? You're spot on. Well done, Mike. I'll show you. Ta-da! So still way too expensive, but at least it's not as bad as the one in the little crescent. So we've got a potential suspect, or at least someone that lived there and might know something. She's in prison, but we still don't know who the body is. The police did a great job. The lady looked like she was quite wealthy because of the items of clothing, and she was missing quite a few teeth. So they thought if she was indeed middle class and she was missing that many teeth, she might have tried to go to a dentist to make some dentures. This is the bells of St. Pancras New Church, straight in the middle there. And so they contacted a lot of dentists in the area, and one of them was like, yeah, you know what, yeah, I did have a lady, Matilda Hackers, about 2 years ago. She had me made a cast to make dentures, and she never came back. And the dentist still had the cast. So then that was fairly easy, like a jigsaw. They took the cast, they put it on the skull, and it was indeed a match. And at the same time, they had a gentleman from Kentish Town, so just a couple of miles away, that contacted the police because he had not heard from his sister for 2 years. Now you'd think, why? If you live 2 miles away, why have you not spoken to your sister, you know? But, you know, some people are just not that close. And he did go to the mortuary to identify the body. She still had some hair on her skull, and those hair, she used to dye her hair, Matilda. Although she was in her 60s, apparently she dressed like a teenager, and she had a very particular hair color, so he recognized it, and he also recognized some of the clothing. So it was indeed Matilda Hackers. She had lived in the property as a lodger, but under the name Matilda Uish. We believe that it's probably because she was trying to avoid taxes. She was from Canterbury. She was actually a property owner, but she didn't want to pay the taxes, so she had kind of escaped under a different name. And so they now had an identity. Still no idea of the killer, but suspicion started to fall on Anna Dobbs because, when Matilda had left, the family apparently was away that day, going hunting or whatever, and Matilda, according to Anna, had left quite quickly. She just moved out. She gave the maid some money for the rent and for the broken lamp. She had broken a lamp in her bedroom. And when Mary Bastendorf came back, she was not impressed because there was a blood on the carpet. And if she had been around when the tenant left, she would have charged her for the carpet. And the police took a look at the stain on the bedroom carpet, and they cut a little piece off to analyze it, and it was indeed blood. So, you know, it started to look quite bad for Anna because she's the only one that, well, according to what she said, saw the lady leaving. And also the police started to look into the local pawnbrokers, you know, those second-hand shops, for items that might have belonged to Matilda. Her brother mentioned a watch, a gold watch that she used to always wear, that was no longer with her. They indeed found that watch in a local pawnbroker, and it had been placed there by a lady called Anna, and it was Anna Dobbs, but she used the name Anna Bastendorf. Interesting. Let me show you, because I think there are some on the floor. Yeah. So see, this is what I mentioned earlier. So this is an old coal cover. So the delivery would lift that up and drop the coal inside. And underneath here, you had a cellar. So it was fairly easily accessible by, you know, any of the tenants or anyone that would have been able to go over that barrier and go down, but that's not very discreet. So that's and those cellars were pretty much everywhere on those Georgian homes. You can see they are Georgians because they've got those boot scrapper as well. You know, if you come back from a muddy ride on your horse and stuff, and often they often have a little piece of glass like that over the door as well. That's not always, but yeah. So yeah, they now had a suspect. It started to look quite bad for Anna because she was in the possession of some of Matilda's items of goods or anything. Oh, let's take a look. I think this is Edward VII. I never know if people watch me for the first time or whatever, but when we see those letterboxes, you can see the royal cipher here. So this is ER7. So that's Queen Victoria's son. So it's quite an old one. Anyway, I've got one more property for you here across the street. So this one is to buy. So up. Let me show you. So this is oops, hold on. A two-bedroom flat. It's quite nice. How much would you pay to buy this two-bedroom across the street behind the trees there? So not very big kitchen and bedroom, but it's very central. So we're looking to buy. Ooh, SL, it's actually less. I don't know if it's a leasehold, I assume so, but it didn't say. Tariq, yeah, you're very close. Well, actually, this one is not that much, Janie. I'll show you the answer. So we are on 665 here, so not as much as the ones we've seen so far. 665. Oh, my pups, you are quite close. Tish, not too far either. Cool. So let's get back to our story. So yeah, it's looking very bad for Anna. She had some of the items that belonged to Matilda. We know she used to steal from her employers. So did she steal from Matilda? Did the old lady catch her? Did they have a fight? Did she hit her with a lamp? Did the lady bleed? And did she take did she just take her into the cellar? But then she would have worked. So she worked for the Bastendorf family for a year after that. So she would have worked there for a year knowing that her victim was still in the cellar. So there was a trial. They did accuse Anna. But at the time murder, you'd be hanged. So the defense lawyers were very quick to explain to the jury that, if they made a mistake, if they just went with circumstantial evidence, an innocent lady could be hanged. Through the trial, she did try to claim that it was indeed her that pawned the watch, but it was actually Severin, the employer, that gave it to her and told her that she should say that it came from an uncle that passed away. And it didn't look good for her, and she did look a bit cold, like if she didn't care. But maybe she didn't care because she was innocent and she didn't believe she could be judged guilty for something she never did. Who knows? And she was, would you believe, acquitted. Now, that could be the end of our story. Not the case. So Anna is acquitted. She's still in prison anyway for a few weeks because of the items she had stolen. And when she came out of jail, she contacted the press. At the time they had those illustrated police news, they looked almost like cartoon. And she contacted the press. She wanted to give her version of the story. By the way, it is on this street, so the building would have been somewhere here to my left. Today we are no longer on Euston Square. Euston Square is down there. We'll go down there. They have renamed the street. You might know when your street is such an infamous murder location, it doesn't look good for property prices, so they've renamed it. And the building was knocked down anyway in the 60s. They've knocked down most of the old Euston Square. Let's see if we can go through those gates in the evening. Probably not. No, they've locked it. Let's go around. And so yeah, it's now a different name, but it was here. That was the south side of Euston Square. So Anna contacts the press. They do a pamphlet, like an illustrated pamphlet. And oh my God, she claimed quite a lot in that pamphlet. She claimed that she was actually having an affair with Severin Bastendorf. And she used to work as a maid on a little square just 2 minutes away. That's how they met, and he offered her a job. And all those months they were having sex right under the eyes of Mary. She didn't notice. And she actually fell pregnant. So that was a bit of an issue. So to have an excuse for Anna being pregnant, apparently Severin forced her to date his brother, Peter Bastendorf. He was also a furniture maker. So she also started dating Peter, but she lost the baby. And she claimed that Severin killed Matilda. He took the watch and he gave it to her, and he gave it to her to go and bring it to the second-hand shop. But that was not it. She also claimed that one day Severin and the other workers in the workshop, they killed a 10-year-old boy, and they gave his body to the dogs to eat. She also claimed that they tortured a little dog, and apparently, according to what she said in the pamphlet, they skinned the dog and they ate it. So that's a bit too much, you think, yeah, right. And of course that completely destroyed Severin's reputation, his business, his relationship with his wife. She also claimed that there was another tenant that disappeared and they must have killed him as well. So it does look like it's proper affabulation. She might be a compulsive liar. And Severin his reputation was so destroyed that he decided to attack the newspaper agency for libel. So they went to court again, but the newspaper agency and the publisher, they had, they seemed to have some kind of evidence that he was indeed having an affair with Anna, because they decided to sue him for perjury. And actually, at court, Severin was not best at defending himself, and he probably did have an affair with Anna. He lost. He ended up going to prison. He went for a year of hard labor at Clerkenwell prison. And that destroyed the man. Prisons were really rough at the time, especially hard labor like that. When he got out of prison, his marriage didn't really survive. I mean, he came back home here, but his property had a very limited value now because of all the scandal. It was known as the Euston Square mystery. And his wife, of course, probably didn't trust him much anymore. His business was not going well. So he did not give up. He decided to go to court again. He again tried to take the newspaper to court. And this time they actually settled it. He received £500, a lot of money at the time. And his business picked up a little bit, but then the relationship with his wife did not. And he started to be completely paranoid. And one day he lost it. He walked on to Camberwell, where he was taken to the workhouse. At the Camberwell workhouse, which is right next to where I live, they had some kind of an infirmary for what they called at the time the lunatics. So he was taken into the lunatic yards. He apparently was hearing voices. His behavior was completely erratic. So he stayed there for a few weeks. Then he was released. He went back to his wife and kids. He had quite a few kids with Mary. And actually, when he was in prison, she was pregnant again. But then he was completely paranoid. Apparently, one night he hit Mary with an umbrella. She called the police, but there was no arrest made. And eventually, he posted an ad, completely paranoid. He posted an ad in the paper saying not to pay his wife for anything. And she got him back into an asylum at the Kulne Hatch Asylum. It's an asylum that's well, it gained quite a reputation a few years later because there were a few Jack the Ripper suspects that were locked in there. You had Aaron Kosminski. In that asylum, they had they were catering for the Jewish patients, for their diet requirements. Should we try to go in the station? Why not? And there was another suspect as well, a Jack the Ripper suspect called David Cohen. Not a very good one, but also a young man that lost his sanity. And anyway, so he was locked in there for a few years. He was eventually released in 1885. He got back to his home, but really the man was broken. They took a photo of him at this point. Let me show you what he looked like. Where are you, Severin? There you go. So that's the man. And at that point, we believe that Anna is still dating Peter, his brother, because at some point when he was having an episode, he ran into a police station and he said, "Oh, my brother and his wife, they killed Matilda Hackers," and he was quite bad with his mental health, and if you consider that he had been violent with his wife and he had a terrible mental health, well, maybe those problems would have started earlier in his life, and maybe he did kill Matilda Hacker. Maybe it's a case of social class, and he kind of framed his poor servant, and it's quite obvious that Anna Dobbs was a kleptomaniac because she kept stealing some little items from everyone, even some stuff that were not of great value. But does that make her a killer? We don't know. So the Euston Square mystery is still very much a mystery today. It's and it could be anybody else. Did the police investigate as of Matilda, in Canterbury? I mean, they probably have many other leads that have not been investigated. It's still a mystery today. Because the press at the time would have been, well, the public opinion would have been also against Severin because of the pamphlet, because he came across as such a horrible man, and also he was a foreigner, We always like to blame the foreigners. We don't want to believe that evil is. I have no opinion on this one. It could very much be Anna, but it could also very much be Severin or anybody else in that household. And let's go in, because I know some of you enjoy your train stations. I might be kicked out, but I'll show you the inside of Euston. This building is from the late 60s. There was a Euston station here before, but they had redone everything. So this is Euston Station, where you can take trains to go up north. Let's go. Let's see where we can go. I think you can go towards Scotland, Glasgow and stuff. Northampton. Oh, Edinburgh and Glasgow. Wolverhampton, that's where Mary, Catherine Eddowes was from. Manchester, yeah. Should I jump on a train to York? It might be a bit late. You'll be in bed when I get there. Anyway, it's gonna be the end of the tour, guys. Do let me know if you have any questions before we go. And thank you very much for coming today. I'm glad you've made it despite the change of link. And if you want to see a bit more of me, what am I doing? Oh, next week I've rescheduled the Dark Tales of Fleet Street. So we've not done this one for a while. If you want to go back to Fleet Street. You're already in bed? Good. No, I'm going to go into my bed myself. I'm going to go warm up in my bed. Thank you, Tish. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, everyone. And if any of you left me a little tip, that's very much appreciated. It is. I'm gonna wait. Oh, I forgot to show you that one. Euston Road. So yeah, if you've left me a little tip, thank you very much. It's really thanks to your generosity that I can keep doing those and spend time in research and stuff. So thank you very much if you are in a position to do so. Thanks, Jenny. You know what? That's actually funny. When on YouTube, when someone gives you a tip, it says, it doesn't show me the GIF, so it tells you a description. So it says, Shiba dog squeezing big hurt. And the first time I was getting tips on YouTube, although I'm used to have those smiley faces with the written down thing, but I thought, what are they talking? One was like electric dog something. And I was like, why are they giving me a quotation? Because it's between quotation marks, Shiba dog squeezing. And I was like, why are they giving me some kind of a quotation from a song from the 80s? I don't know why I imagined a song from the 80s. And then it happened again, Electric Dog, Green Heart. I was like, what is that song? And because I was in the middle of a story, I didn't react. And then I realized later, oh no, silly me, it's just a description of the little GIF. Anyway, thank you for coming, guys. Hopefully I'll see some of you in Fleet Street next week, and keep an eye out as well in the next hopefully on Sunday or Monday I'll also be doing a couple of premieres of my videos of Gdansk. So that should be coming up in the next few days. I wanted to be doing some editing this afternoon, but I got very busy watching The Crown, so I didn't actually do it, but it's coming up soon anyway. Cool. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye-bye.